Hello everyone and welcome in to episode 65 of Twitch Tales. Where did we leave off? In episode 64, well, Apis had just picked up their Displacer Beast cloak from Talila of Helwerin and had set off north to get back to Mwinglofau to meet their friend Mosh. Meet their Mosh. You'd arranged to meet Mosh there at nightfall, and it was getting that way, so you set off. Unfortunately, you found blood on the way. You found sign of a struggle. You tracked that blood and signs of a struggle until you found Mosh. You found Mosh underneath a net, being held down, struggling by two hobgoblins in almost full plate. They're very well equipped and armoured and militarized individuals holding down Mosh, wondering what to do, neither of whom were strong enough to hold him down on their own. You attacked, managed to make one of them flee and put the other one to sleep, and upon capturing him, you interrogated him and learned that they are part of a much larger hobgoblin legion, a goblinoid host to the north. This goblinoid host is the first line of defense against the demons of the Great Expanse, as they called them. If their words are to be believed, there is a demon portal open somewhere in the north, and spewing forth from it demons. The hobgoblins are fighting back against the demons and have asked the elves for defense, for reinforcements, which means they must be on their last legs. They must be really desperate if they're overcoming their own hobgoblin xenophobia and approaching the also xenophobic elves, and making some sort of an uneasy alliance there. The elves have said yes and have been creating some armor and weapons at a surprising rate to try and outfit people with the tools needed for the job. The hobgoblins have warned that if they fall to the demons, they will be forced to retreat, and that means that they will be coming closer and closer to the elven territories of the south of the Fair Woods. You have headed with this hobgoblin captor and your friend Mosh to the nearby town of Mwinglofau and relayed this information to the town guard there, and that's where we left off, with you talking with Trell. Talking with Trell about the hobgoblins and the demons and whatnot. You have been warned that the towns, the elven towns, have, in so much as they haven't been told by Arachel the agreement that they came to with the hobgoblins, they have been told only information that they need to know, namely that there is danger coming. They have to be prepared for war, and that they should trust no one and assume that people are shapeshifters until proven otherwise. You asked about this shapeshifter thing, and apparently it is a product of the paranoia around the demons, and some demons have the ability to change shape. Knowing this, you decided to tap into your ranger abilities to become aware of the primeval nature around you. You focused on demons and fiends and what it feels like to hear stories of fiends. You extended your perception, your awareness, out to the range of the entire Mwinglofau mountain that you stand on, and you asked, are there demons present? Are there fiends present within that radius? As you sent out your feelers, your aura as it were, you get a negative response. You are not left feeling like there are demons in the vicinity of the Mwinglofau mountain. No fiends, no Yugoloths, no demons, no devils. You do, however, hear footsteps. Footsteps approaching the cave mouth. They're slow and shuffling, and from what it sounds like, there's sort of a limp. So just as you turn to Trell and say, "This town's clear. I don't sense demons here." You hear a voice call out from outside. It's me. I'm just here for another shovel. No shooting. Sounds like an older folk, and it sounds like they are panting quite a bit from the climb up the mountain. Trell immediately disengages from you and walks to the front of the mouth and sort of looks out and says, Gravedigger. You're back again, are you? I haven't seen you in a while. He says, yeah, well, the last ones you gave me lasted longer than my usual stuff, so I thought I'd come back to get some more. He holds up two halves of a shovel with a broken handle and rather dulled shovel head. Yes, that one seems to have lasted a while. You nudge Mosh. Do you know this guy? Would Mosh know this guy? Very unlikely, but I suppose there's always a chance. Let's give it a d20 roll. No. Mosh just shakes his head. As he now comes into view, you can see that he is a hunched over sort of old elderly man. You can tell that he is very strong still, even in his old age. But he was probably once much stronger than he is even now. He is probably in his late 60s or 70s. He looks human. He has a very weathered face, shall we say, and an eye patch over his left eye. He would have been included in the range. Yes, he was. You included the entire mountain, and he was pretty much just outside the cave mouth when it started. He's wearing a dark coat and a hat with a large brim on it, a large rim. Sorry. And I believe that's all you'll know for now from a vision. He does have a satchel bag on it. It seems like just a regular sort of traveler's bag, somewhere to keep your belongings and rations and things for traveling. He is well travelled and seems like a hermit in sort of his demeanour and dress and dirty face. It doesn't seem like he comes from civilization much. He's probably lives on the land more than anything. Very important. What you always forget it. What does the weather look like? Well, it is late evening and it is in spring, so the chances of rain are pretty high. Let me roll to see. Just fair. I'd say fair to middling. It is just below average on a scale of dry to wet. So I'll say it is overcast, not immediately raining right now, but definitely the chance of sporadic showers right now. The Gravedigger comes up and says to Trell, if I can just get another one, I'll be on my way again shortly. And Trell says, sorry, Gravedigger, we'll have to just wait one moment. Can I ask you when you were last here? And the guy sort of looks at him with his one good eye and... What? When were you last here? I don't know when you gave me this. And he holds out the two halves of the shovel. He says, yes, do you remember when it was? He says, no. I have to ask to see that you are who you say you are. He sort of takes a half step back and says, "What do you mean? Who I am?" There's we just have to be. Security's gone up recently, and we have to. And he says, "Why?" Well, there's reasons we don't need to go into. Tell me what you know. Tell me something that you would know. Help me out here, Gravedigger. Who are you, and how would I know that you are who you are? What bloody riddles! I just want a shovel. I don't have to come in if you just get me a shovel yourself. Trell turns back to you, Apis, still kind of half keeping in the old man in his peripheral, and says, "Come here." Do you go over to him as beckoned? Get our bow ready with an arrow? Are you really that concerned? You head on out, over to him, and he says, you said before that, and you say, yeah, I was just gonna say, he's not demon. And the old man looks at you and looks back at Trell and says, "What's this about demons?" And he says, "It's the don't worry about it, Gravedigger." And he says, "I will bloody worry about it, young man. If I young man to an elf, he's probably like 200 years older than this guy. He says, "I will bloody worry about it, young man. If I'm living in these woods and there's demons about, why demons?" And you say, "It's look, you're not. There's no demons around. Not in the whole range of the mountain." And Charles says, "How is it you are so confident?" It's a certain affinity I have for detecting presences. It takes a wee bit out of me, but it is effective. I can sense if there are particular types of people, particular types of creatures around. I focus just now on demons and fiends in particular, and I didn't get a sense of it. And Cheryl says, that seems like it would come in useful if it can be trusted. And you say, it's never failed me yet. Right. Gravedigger, stay here. We'll get you a shovel. Is it just one shovel you need? And he says, I'm missing I came to see what else I could get as well. A spade, shovel, the pick's still sharp enough. Maybe a trowel. Do we have that fixie thing? If not, if it's only the wood thing, or a completely new one? Yeah, it's not just. So it is the handle that's broken, but the handle has got a metal core to it that is kind of bent as well, and the shovel head is sort of dulled and definitely an old shovel. You'd say it's gone through a lot of work, a lot of use. This shovel, so a brand new one's in order. How about a defensive spell from demon that try to reconcile themselves? It's possible. It is possible. Ask the Gravedigger. So you say to the Gravedigger, "How's it going, old man? You haven't noticed anything recently, have you?" And he turns and looks at you, and you feel like, in fact, let's make you a. What sort of check would this be? I feel like it's an insight check. Let's make you an insight check. Nat 20. Alright, good. You're starting off the day strong. Nat 20 plus your insight of +2 wisdom is a 22. As he looks at you, you not only read his expression as being sort of seeing you for the first time. He kind of was aware of you talking about demons before, but his focus was on Trell. Now his focus shifts to you. And as his focus shifts to you, you can tell that he kind of sees you properly. You can tell that he has his faculties with him. Although he's old in body, it seems like he's young in mind still. And he takes you in, seems to consider you properly. But with that 22, you also feel like you are being observed, truly observed, not just in a literal light entering his eyes kind of way, but in something else. There is something else in the way that he looks at you that you feel watched. It's like he sees more than just what he sees, and you kind of feel that a little. It's something you can't put your finger on or put into words, but there's something else about this guy. Like he's scanning our soul, maybe. Yeah, if you put it in terms of souls, it's like he's seeing your soul, maybe. You haven't seen anything different, anything strange around. He doesn't respond immediately. He says, "In these woods, you'd be best to define strange, or we'll be here all day, son." You say, "Well, firstly, not a son." He says, Oh, my mistake. I should have known from the lack of beard. Ask the old man what he knows of demons. Say, so what do you know of demons? He says, not as much as the scholars, but more than I'd cared to. You ever seen any? Hard to know. What do you mean? Demons take many forms. Some look like beasts and roam our plane of existence like beasts. I've seen those. Some look like spirits and roam our plane of existence as the restless dead. I've seen those. But some take horned, tailed, poisoned, barbed, clawed, fanged monstrosities that tear and devour and cause mayhem. Your usual demon, I haven't seen those. What's your name, friend? I don't know it. You don't know your name? No. What do you go by? Gravedigger's fine. Do we have a drink or something to share? We can if you want. You've got a water skin. I don't think you've got anything. Maybe that's something that Apis should buy at some point. It's up to you, obviously. But yeah, Apis doesn't really have anything to just like celebrate with. You just live on rations and water skin. It's kind of I imagine that could get a bit boring when you're out in the wilderness. Or maybe not. Maybe Apis is like, my body's a temple and doesn't eat anything other than natural fruits and berries and meats and water skin. Up to you. So you're a gravedigger. Where's your cemetery? The world's the cemetery. How did you manage to bend the metal of the shovel? He looks down at it and he says, this shovel's been through quite a lot. It bent through use. Can I ask, why did I feel weird when you looked at me? His eyes go back to Trell. And it seems like he scans the rest of the cave before answering. His eyes sort of stopping, his eye anyway, stopping on the hobgoblin standing nearby. You keep strange company, he says. You talk like you've been around the world for a long time. Is it rude to ask how old you are? Not rude, but not conducive. No, he wouldn't say conducive. Not rude, but not a question you'll get a straight answer from. I don't know that either. But hey, when you get to my age, it doesn't really matter. If he doesn't know his name, could he have lost it to a fae? It is possible. Apis would know that giving your name to a fae can be dangerous or can be tricky. Sometimes if you give your name to a fae, you have literally given your name to the fae, and the fae can take it if they want to. So you have Apis is pretty well versed in fae things, and through their mother anyway, who was much more versed in fae things. What sort of things have you used this shovel for? By now, by the way, Trell's other guards have gone off. One of them, anyway, has gone down into the town proper to get the shovels and trowel and things that he's asked for, the spade. What sort of use do you use this shovel for? Just digging, or do you use it as a weapon? He says, I try not to have need of a weapon, but around these woods, it's important to be able to handle oneself. Things tend to leave me alone. Mostly just digging. Right? May I ask who it is you're digging graves for? He says, for the dead, of course. Dude just roams around burying dead folk, very sus. Or anti-necromancy, possibly. Aye, I am strange company myself. You seem to know much about demons. Do you know anything about fae creatures? He says, no, not a lot. Why? How long have you been in these woods? You ask a lot of questions, dwarf. What's your name? Do you give him your name? He looks human. Is it possible he's not? It's absolutely possible he's not. Anything's possible in a world of magic. Can we use our Primeval Awareness and scan him properly? You can indeed, yeah. So if you want to do that, the OG NZ Pure, it would cost you one of your remaining spell slots, and then you would have to choose which types of creature you are looking for. You could just choose all of them. Aberration, Celestial, Fey, Fiend, Undead. I think the Elemental might be on that list. And then you set a radius from yourself, so you'd just be like a 5-foot radius and then stand next to him. So you could do it if you want to. People should let me know in the chat if that's something they want to do, to scan to see if he is indeed human or on that list of other things that you can scan for. You're sorry about the questions, it's just that you're missing a name. I thought that Faye might be involved. Right. Yes, the tricky names, don't they? Yes, give him his new name. Okay, so you say, my name's Apis. He says, well, pleasure, Apis. And he seems to just kind of be patiently waiting. He's got that sort of, that thing that you often get from old folk that's just kind of like, just kind of tired with mundanity, tired with like small talk and stuff, and tired with having lived however many decades that he has of just like interactions, social interactions. So he's just like, he's not rude per se if you think about the context of him being elderly. If he was a young man talking in this way and kind of being as not snide, what's the word? If he was a young man talking as kind of clipped as he is with his answers and like abrupt with his answers and stuff, then he'd probably be considered rude. But given that he's an old folk, you just kind of get that. You often see it, or at least I do anyway, that old folk kind of just like, they're just a little bit more, just get to the point. We don't need to do this. I'm tired of having to go through like the social expectations of niceties in a conversation. We don't need to fill the space with we don't need to fill the silence with talking, kind of thing. Just a not even grouchy, I'd say, not even exasperated, just kind of like a efficient in how he's speaking. What does Mosh think? You turn to Mosh, and Mosh is just kind of staying quiet as well, just eyeing this guy up, just standing by. If you want to talk to Mosh, then you can do so. I'll give you my name if you give me yours. And he said he doesn't know his name, so you just give him yours anyway. Does he have 2 working eyes? Well, he's got an eye patch on his left eye. That's all you can see. Does Odin exist in the world D&D? In my world, OG, yes. In my world, any gods that a character wants to... So if a player joins my campaign, and they are a cleric or a paladin or whatever else, they want to worship a particular god. If they want to worship a god from like Norse mythology or something like Odin, then I would allow it. How it would take place in my world is that would become one of the old gods. All of my homebrewed gods are the new gods. They're the ones that most of the world worships. But any other gods, the Egyptian gods, the Greek gods, the Norse gods, the Roman gods, the D&D gods, any sort of gods from other mythologies and other stories, they would probably all exist in my world if people want them to, but they would all be the old gods, and therefore you'd be less likely to find people worshipping them, you'd be less likely to find temples to them, all that sort of stuff. So Odin exists in my world if somebody wants Odin to exist in my world, I guess is the answer. Names have power, we shouldn't give ours away so freely to strangers. Maybe keep that in mind in future, I suppose. You see, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll be straightforward. Are you likely to be a threat to me, or are we in safe company? And he laughs at that and says, I appreciate someone straightforward. At my age, you never know how much time you've got left. Don't really want to waste it in idleness, I suppose. I'm not going to be a threat to you, Apis. As long as you're not a threat to me, we'll leave each other alone. How long have you been digging graves? Since I got back. Got back? Yes, I spent some time elsewhere, and since I got home, my duty is to give the restless some rest. I see. I sensed a powerful gaze from you, old man. Is that something you can do on purpose? He says, yes, it's one of the things that I got while I was away. Insight check to see if he's being truthful? Sure thing. Let's see if you can read on him. 5 plus 2. You're reading from him as much as you're reading from him. He's relatively hard to read. He's not giving you indication that he's lying. Either that or he's a good liar. I'm a curious dwarf and information's important. A person like yourself, I bet you have lots of information, so it could be useful. Helpful even. It could be the difference between me dying or not, you never know. Well, if you do, come to me and I can help you then, more than I can help you now. Perhaps. Could you show us where you dig graves? Why do you care? Is he a warlock, maybe? Maybe. Where were you before you came back? I don't really like talking about it. Not least to strangers. Do you see ghosts, Gravedigger? Or spirits? Do you see people that we can't? He turns his head back towards you. He was kind of just like looking out over the cave now, sort of taking in other people standing there, but with that one he turns his back and catches your eye again. Makes eye contact. Makes single eye contact. He just stares at you for a moment, a long moment where you're almost about to ask again to see if he didn't hear the question. And then he nods. Yes. I tend to find myself in trouble now and again. Do you think you can teach me any tricks? Not something that I learned. It's something that happened more than learned. Do you operate in these woods only? Suppose maybe we meet again somewhere. I go where I'm needed, but the last while I've been needed here. There's a great deal of unrest in these woods. A great deal of unrest? Yes. Many souls are not ready. They weren't ready to pass on, they weren't ready to move. They've been broken off or stopped. They've been severed from where they need to be. There's powerful magics at work somehow. I put them to rest where I can. Will we gain friend points if we let him pet Fuzzy Mel? Maybe he's seen Sally's handiwork. Maybe. Have you seen signs of necromancy around? We lost a necromancer who escaped from Shadridge not long ago. His eyes got to necromancers in Shadridge. Seems genuinely interested. He sort of perked up the conversation a little bit. Well, thankfully just the one, as far as we know, and we chased her out of town. You did? Looks somewhat impressed. Yes, unfortunately we lost her. She came somewhere into the woods, maybe in the direction of the Great Expanse. Then I would say that this is not all a coincidence. Do you see the ghosts of dwarves near me? I fear some of my family may have died. I'm unsure if they survived. He shakes his head and says, "It doesn't quite work like that. They come to me if they need me, or if they struggle. I can also see them if I go to them, but I have to be looking for them. No one's here with us in this cave." Ask him if he's seen any evidence of necromancy. Have you seen evidence of necromancy then? And he nods. What sort of thing? Is this morbid curiosity or professional? You seem to be touched by death, Gravedigger. What have the spirits been whispering? There are forces at work. Forces stopping people from moving on. The people who have died here recently, the last year or so, they're not moving on where they should. There are a lot of ears hearing this. Yeah, that's good to remember as well, guys. You are in a cave with Trell and the hobgoblin Grobok, and your friend Mosh and Mel, and anyone else invisible that you can't see. If we should need you one day, how would we find you? If you should need me in the way that I think you mean, you'll find me. If you need me before then, I suppose leave message for me here. Can't get any decent shovels outside of Winglofer. He sort of laughs, and Trell just kind of smiles and nods his way. I meant it in like a professional curiosity. Well, in that case, I should probably show you rather than tell you. Can you handle yourself? I can handle myself very well. Where would we be going? Not far from here. I'll be going back there soon. And Trell says, "Do you need a bed for the night, Gravedigger?" Says, "A bed would be lovely, but I can't prove I am who I am, so you won't let me in." And Trell says, I'm sure that we can find some way to assuage our doubts around you. The hobgoblin speaks up at this point and says, "Am I free to go, or am I to stay here listening to this forevermore? Being that you were the one who captured him and brought him here to exposition dump, it's really on you to decide. So thumbs up if you want to let him leave, if you're done with the hobgoblin and you can let him go. Thumbs down if you want to keep him around for any reason, or ask him to stick around for whatever reason. Thumbs up, he came willingly with us. He did come willingly with us, but it was under the assumed threat that you can take him down if he didn't. Like, he was free to leave, theoretically or technically, but he felt like he might have been compelled to as well. He should go back to clarify that Mosh was not a demon. Yeah, alright. So you say, yeah, of course, you're free to leave whenever you want. You're your own person. I will ask, though, please let the others know, the others of your clan, your tribe. He says, banner. The others of your banner, please let them know that Mosh is not the person you're looking for. Is not the person you're looking for. He says, of course, we do not wish to waste our time with people who are not demons. And the old man turns to him and says, you're a demon hunter, are you? He says, yes. He says, you can also let your people know that I mean you no harm. A number of times that you've harassed me doing my job. We are aware of you, old man. Right. And I you. He walks past him. You can hear the clanking of his mail, his plate shifting as he walks past the old man. He looks at you as he walks past you, sort of eyeballs Trell on his way out of the cave and into the darkness of the night that has definitely fallen dark now. He leaves out into the woods. "Travel safe, friend," you say out to him, and there's no response as he clanks on down the mountain out of sight. You can hear his footsteps receding into the darkness. It just leaves you, Trell, and Mosh. Do you guys want to try and sleep here in Winglofau, in the safety of the elven village, or do you want to go back out into the wilderness and set up a camp? We need a mass supply of two-way sending stones. Ask Trill, do you have any runners spare to send messages to the sisters? Trill says, we can get message to the sisters, yes, but probably not during the night, not if there's, as you say, Gravedigger, unrest around. Says, yeah, there's always been unrest, but not really between the sisters. It's further north of here. What is it you need to send message of? Sleep in the cave again? Sleep in town? Good bed once in a while is nice. Sleep in the village? Sleep in the village if we can. Most people saying sleep in the village. It seems like that's the consensus. So we say, Trell, is it, so after asking about the message, you also say, is it possible to sleep here, either in the cave or in the village? He says, yes, of course we can find bed for you. Now, thumbs up if you want to sleep upstairs in the cave entrance. Thumbs down if you want to sleep downstairs in the actual mining part where the village is, where you can probably get a bed proper. Ooh, it's pretty split. Yeah, this is pretty split. This is pretty hard to choose by sight alone. I'm going to have to put this to a proper poll, it seems. Apis is in two minds about this. Cave entrance. So the benefit of the cave entrance is obviously that you're not around elves in case anything happens. There's also the benefit that you join Trell and the other guards as frontline defense in case anything does come into the cave and attacks Winglofau. You are quicker to get up and get out. The drawback is that you are the front line. In case anything does attack, you will be walking in the night and you may risk not getting full rest. If there is unrest that doesn't wake you, like stealthy things or ghost spirits and stuff, then they might hit you first before anybody else. What else? You do have a bedroll and you're pretty used to sleeping in various circumstances, so you're not going to be really too encumbered by having to sleep in a bedroll on a cave floor. That wouldn't be the worst thing for you. So no negatives or drawbacks to that. Village. Sleep in the village proper is obviously all of the opposite drawbacks and benefits. The benefit is you to get a nice night's rest in a proper bed, probably somewhere. Maybe a nice warm meal. You'd get to catch up with anybody in the town proper, with any of the elves that you need to talk to or you need to resupply with. Be able to do all of that stuff. You'd be able to be there and protect anybody there in case anything happens in the night. The usual drawbacks and whatnot of a decision apply. With 57% of the vote, Apis decides they're going to sleep here in the cave if possible. So when we ask for a bed and Trell says we can find a bed for you, you say, no, I meant just like right here. I've got a bedroll and everything. I'd rather not be in position on the town. He says it wouldn't be an imposition. Apis, you've helped us and we've helped you, and we're happy to put up travellers in need of a bed. We'll be putting up the Gravedigger, of course, as well. He says, you say no, it's really fine. Like I'm used to sleeping in caves. I'm used to sleeping in trees. I'm used to sleeping on the ground, in bushes. I'll sleep anywhere. It's kind of just how I do it. But I appreciate the offer, but I'm happy to sleep just here. And he says, well, wherever you feel comfortable, I understand. So around about this time, one of the other guards that left with Trell comes back with a shovel, a spade, and a trowel in hand, and walks over and speaks to the Gravedigger and says, "This will all set you back. So good elven quality stuff, probably 2 gold." Says, this will set you about 2 gold unless you have something for trade. He says, got nothing for trade at the moment, no. Not found anything on the digs. But he reaches down into his bag and he gets out a coin purse. It's relatively deflated coin purse, let's say. He picks about in it and picks out a gold piece, places it in the guard's hand, and starts fishing around for the silvers as well. Pay for him. You say, I'll pay for your shovel, old man. He says, a kind gesture followed by an insult of my age, eh? a slap and a handshake. Well, it was not intended that way. With age comes wisdom and experience. For us dwarves, age is not an insult. And he says, yeah, all right. Thank you. And he kind of just waves you on as if he's accepting your offer. So he graciously accepts your offer. You'll take you'll pop your you'll pop your 300 gold pieces down to 299 gold pieces, as you pay 1 gold for his shovel, and he pays the other for the other. You see, consider it payment for a good conversation, and with you, with all that you've told me, very well might come in useful as I'm doing things in the forest nearby over the next little while. It's an expensive shovel. It's a very well made shovel. He has talked about. He literally just said there's nowhere you can get a decent a shovel as you can from Winglofa. They use elven mining techniques and elven crafting techniques to make a very enduring shovel, with quite a sharp edge to it as well. And as he has indicated, he uses this shovel for more than just digging, so it needs to be very good quality. Might run into you again, old man. Would you welcome another talk? He says, well, yeah, aren't I showing you where I work? He has offered you to show you his stuff when you were prying about necromancy and things. He's offered to show you where it is and what he's dealing with. But that is up to you guys in the morning, I guess. All right. So the guard looks at Trell and back at the old man, and Trell sort of just nods and waves him past. He's kind of he's willing to believe, based on this conversation and based on how he's been standing here and not slaughtering people, and how you've vouched for him as not being a fiend. He's willing to just kind of hand wave a little bit of the security, it seems, and just lets him in. And the old man, the Gravedigger, sort of just nods at you and then shuffles past on his way to the stairs that lead down the back of the cave into the town proper. Is Mosh going to stay here in this cave with you, do you reckon? Or do you reckon... what would Apis suggest to Mosh? Obviously, he's his own creature. He can do what he wants. We're welcome to watch, but it would not be insult. Yeah, you'd say... I'm happy to keep watch as well if you need an extra pair of eyes. And Jill says, "Thank you. It's appreciated. You needn't stay awake for it though. I know how sleep is important to your folk. If we need you, we would wake you. See, right? Yeah, I'm only a shout away." You get your bedroll out and tuck it into a corner away from people and sort of away from getting in their way, getting underfoot. We should suggest that he stays with us. Have Mosh stay with us unless he wants to be outside. Mosh says, "I'm gonna stay here too, if that's all right." And Charles says, "Yes, of course." Mosh says, "I can sleep in the forest if it's an issue." And you're like, "No, you can sleep here, Mosh. It's fine." He goes, "Yeah, all right." He heads over and sets up his own bedroll. Did he have a bedroll with him? Because he set off into the woods. I can't remember. I'm going to say yes. He sets up his own bedroll and sort of tucks himself in, as it were. Is there anything else you want to do or say or talk to? Anything before you go to sleep? Now is the time. It is night. It is after nightfall now, and you're going to need to sleep to get your spells back and things before the morning. You also have a couple of spell slots left of the day. If you want to use them for anything now, you can do so. Like before you get them back in the morning. You also have some dice. If you wanted to ask the dice a question, you can do so. I'm going to see what the Gravedigger is going to show us and then head off to the Merry Gentleman. Tell Mosh what happened with Belladel and suggest he returns to Shadridge in the morning. Let's not update Mosh. Lots of elves who don't need sleep around. Yep, the elves would definitely have the opportunity to overhear you if you told Mosh anything now. Yeah, we shared a bedroll with Mosh the other night. Yeah, I think we probably did. Yeah, we did, didn't we? We opened it up. You know, a while since we last prayed to Ultimas, we can do that. All right. So there is a chance that updating Mosh on what you know from Belladel will be overheard by the elves. There are 3 elves on guard, Trell and 2 other elves. So you can thumbs up if you want to update Mosh, even at the slight risk that the elves will overhear you, or thumbs down if you don't want to update him while anybody is within earshot. We have attuned to our cloak, yes. We are attuned to the Displacer cloak. Don't update him. Alright, we will update him later, it seems. So to get out of earshot of him, we would have to go down the steps at the back of the cave into the town proper, or out of the front of the cave back out into the night. We can obviously do so, but it would be obvious that we are speaking in private about something. Because we'd have to leave the cave and be like, hey guys, we'll be back in a second, I just need to talk to Mosh real quick, and whatever. I suppose you could, that's a good point, Kelso, you could use Pass Without a Trace as your last 2nd level spell slot of the day. Before you go to sleep, you could use Pass Without a Trace to almost guarantee you wouldn't be overheard, because you'd get a +10 to your stealth, and I would definitely rule it that you can speak privately. Obviously, if somebody's actively trying to listen in, they can still potentially beat you with Pass Without a Trace, but it will decrease somebody's passive perception by 10, essentially, the equivalent of. Keep the spell in case we get interrupted during our rest. Even the Pass Without a Trace, they'd know we were there. Better to wait. Okay. So we'll need that spell slot. A lot of people saying we don't use the spell slot for that. Alright. So we'll update him in the morning. It seems Apis is in 2 minds about it and thinks like he needs to know, but he's got limited time to decide what to do, but we don't want to be overheard. It's his secret to know about, so we just let it go. So we're not going to tell Mosh anything now. We're going to update him in the morning when there's no prying ears. Is there anything else you want to do with your evening before you go to sleep? You have a little bit of downtime. You could read in bed. You could pray to Ultimas. I assume you're going to do that anyway. So while you're deciding what to do, Apis, you draw out a couple of your arrows from your quiver and you place them crosswise, the symbol to Ultimas, the god of hunting. And you just silently think and thank you, Ultimas, for all you do. Thank you for allowing me to hunt. Thank you for honing my perceptions while I'm out in the forest to the point where I can see blood of injured friends. If it wasn't for your gifts, I would not have found my friend Mosh. I appreciate that you're looking out for me. I hope that I can serve you the way you've served me. All that sort of thing. I'm going to roll a religion check for you just to see sort of how well you do, whether you're just going through the motions or whether your heart's really in it and all that sort of stuff. 9. 9 is slightly below average for you, but because you have a +3 intelligence modifier, your religion is a 12 check there, so below average for you, but above average for a normal person. Take 20. I mean, yeah, you can. There's no benefit to. There's no detriment to losing or trying again, really. So, so you can take 20 on this. Just do your best to pray to him properly. I suppose the detriment is if you pray too long and too much, then if you're doing a bad job of it and your heart's not in it, then your heart's not going to get in it by taking longer to do it more. Do we have a sword? I don't see it in our equipment. We don't have our weapons in our equipment. This is just the stuff that's in our bag or our quiver. Our quiver and our bag is accounted for here. Our what we're wearing and carrying is not necessarily accounted for in our equipment. Is there anything else? Anything else that you want to do before you sleep? Just scrolling to see if you've checked. Do we want to use the bone dice for anything? Stitch up our clothes, look pretty, yeah, we can do that. I haven't included it in our inventory, but we've got a couple of things that I haven't included, like small everyday things like a bar of soap for keeping ourselves clean, and we've got like needle and thread for patching up our clothes when they need to be and things like that. So we sit at the side of the cave with our bedroll as Mosh sort of tucks over and starts to try and get to sleep. We stitch up a couple of cuts and tears and things in our clothes, things that are starting to fray. We just needle and thread those back together a little bit. And we use the dice today. You can use them for a guaranteed answer once per day, but you can use them as many times as you want in a day. It's just that after the first answer, you're probably going to have a slightly increasing chances of random answers, fallible answers. So you can use the dice as many times as you want. And have you used them today? I don't remember. Ask the dice about the old man. You can ask the dice about the old man if you want. Can we take some time to learn more Elvish with the guards after we ask the dice if the Merry Gentleman can cure Belladel? Take some time to learn more Elvish with the guards. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, that's a downtime activity. After we ask the dice if the Merry Gentleman can cure Belladel. Cool, good idea. Nice. Can the Merry Gentleman cure Mosh or Belladel of their wear curse? Use the dice to ask the Merry Gentleman can cure Mosh. Okay. Ask the dice if the Merry Gentleman can cure Mosh and or Benadryl. Benadryl is not his fucking name. Belladel. Are we all in agreement on that? There's most people saying yes, do that. So I assume there's no kickback, no pushback on using the dice for that. Somebody can. There is the pushback. Sparrow saying that requires stating Mosh's secret aloud. I was wondering if anyone would pick up on it. It depends on how you word it, Sparrow. It depends on how you word the question to the dice. For anyone who doesn't know, I didn't really go into it in my recap, so if you are relatively new to Twitch Tales, you may not know. Right below me here in the inventory are some bone dice. It is a very nice carved wooden box of dice made out of a centaur's bones. And they have divinatory properties. They were gifted to us by the Fae. And once per day we can cast the spell Augury from them, or something similar to the spell Augury. That is a spell where you can ask the dice a question and you'll get a yes-no answer. The first time that you ask the dice a question per day, the answer is guaranteed to be true. The second time there is a some amount of chance that the answer will be randomized. With the proper wording, they might need to have the sniffles too. Don't need to cure that. Wear condition is what we need to cure, yeah. The elves will still hear us mentioning Belladel and Mosh in the same sentence. They know what happened to Belladel. They'll likely connect the dots. Very clever, Sparrow, yes. We could word it as, does the Merry Gentleman have the ability to cure wear curses? Alright, so first question then. I'm going to have to put it to a poll because Sparrow's raising some very good points. Do we ask the dice anything about wear curses? Anything at all about wear curses? Do we ask the dice? Yes or no? Put it to a 2-minute poll to decide, are we going to ask the dice anything at all? If we do ask the dice, if we decide that we are going to ask the dice, then we'll go into a series of polls about like what are we going to actually ask and how do we word it and things. I agree with asking, can Merry Gentleman cure wear curses? Simply as that. Just, can the Merry Gentleman cure wear curses? Does he have the ability to? Keep it nice and simple. Get a yes/no question. You get a yes/no answer. Does this have to be a vocal question? Yes, it does. It has to be a vocal question. You have to speak aloud the question that you are going to ask as you drop the dice. I'm pretty sure I haven't. Now that you've said that, there is a vague recollection that you have once asked the dice in your head before. But I'm not sure. Also, have we used the dice at all today? We used them to ask if Mosh had killed anyone. Thank you, Wraith. That was today, wasn't it? Yeah, that was today. Alright, so with 68% of the vote, we decide that yes, we are going to ask the dice a question about wear curses. So what are we going to ask? Didn't we sleep till then? Did we ask that right before sleeping? You might be right. That might have been yesterday. We used them and then went to sleep. Yeah, I'm going to say it was. Yeah, and then we told them about the answer in the morning. That's why I was thinking it was today, because we told them the answer. Yeah, so we haven't used the dice today. It was yesterday. Specify the merry gentleman as we know the merry gentleman to be, because descriptive. I'll be kind and say you asked yesterday, and then we'll decide. We'll review it later. So what are we going to ask the dice? We get the dice out of our bag after stitching up our clothes, after praying to Altamez as best we can. We said lovely prayer. We thank him for everything he does for us. Then what? We get our dice out. We think about asking them a question about how to cure werewolf curses. Is the being we know as the Merry Gentleman capable of curing what currently ails Belladel? Can the Archfey known as the Merry Gentleman cure weir curses? No! Let's not say a name, let's ask, can he cure weir curses? Alright, OG doesn't like it because what? You need to offer suggestions then. More than one thing can ail a person. Ail is too generic. Okay. Do not mention a name of Mosh or Belladel, just mention weir curse. Okay, so does the Archfey we know as the Merry Gentleman have the ability to cure weir curses or remove weir curses? Are we asking can he, like does he have the ability to, or are we asking will he? Because those are two different questions. Would saying Kurapira, the name the pixie used for the Merry Gentleman, instead of the Merry Gentleman change anything? I feel like the dice would know. If you ask the question in the form of would the being we know as the Merry Gentleman, then the dice have been the creature you're talking to, the subject of your sentence has been specified and is set in stone there. Like there's no loopholes around who you're talking about as long as you've specified who you're talking about, and you've talked about the being that we know as the Merry Gentleman is very unambiguous. Learning that he can do the ability is better than knowing if he would, because you can always barter for a wood. That's a good point. Alright, so let me first look up his stat block, because it's been a while since I did so. He has a stat block. If it has stats, we can kill it. Does he have the ability? So, just to set it in stone, what you're going to ask is, does the Archfey we know as the Merry Gentleman have the ability to remove a weir curse? We're going with a weir curse, an indefinite article. Do we know if the character who potentially has the cure is good in nature? He's a fey creature, so they don't really use good and evil in alignments. They're sort of orange-blue morality. He's tricky. He's an Archfey. His motivations are very much in doubt and flux. We don't know if he's good or bad by our definitions. Alright. I'd say a being rather than an Archfey, Sparrow says, because we don't want them hearing about the fey thing. Okay, does the being we know, especially that would also cover us in the case that he isn't actually an Archfey or something. Okay. We get the dice out. And we whisper to them as quietly as we can. Does the being we know as the Merry Gentleman have the ability to remove a weir curse? And then we let the dice fall. And as the dice move on the ground in front of us, interesting. We get visions as each one hits the stonework and bounces. We get hallucinations almost of auditory nature and visual nature. We get different senses of scent and sight and sound. We even get tastes. We get flashes of laughter and very melodious flute music. We get a flash of merriment at like a a state fair, sort of a carnival situation, like a people laughing and joking in like line dancing and big flowery dresses sort of swirling as they dance. We get the taste of like delicious apple pie and fairground foods like candy floss and things like that. We get the smells of cooking caramel corn and chestnuts roasting. We feel a warm sort of summer breeze, and as the dice come to rest, we are left with the sense of wheel. Do with that what you will. What you will. Let's add that to the things to update Mosh on tomorrow. Alright, so as you put those dice away back in your little box, you not feeling quite sleepy yet, you decide to go and chat with the guards. You talk to them. You hear some gentle snoring coming from Mosh. And then you start chatting with them about Elvish and like asking them questions about simple Elvish words. One of them, you learn his name. Oh, Potel. Potel. Poutel is the next guard that you talk to. Do you have anything to read or a way to practice our planar abilities? We do, yes. We have 3 books you can see in the inventory below us. We've got a book on plants, a book on planes, and a book on potions. Plants, planes, and potions. So we speak with Potel. Potel gets to know us just a little bit more. Just seems like a friendly sort, and happy to talk in Elvish with you. And I will open up my training document. Little plug to my Patreon. I've got a bunch of different house rules that I use for my games, one of which is how to train in various different things for downtime. If you wish to train in learning languages, for instance, you can do so. So, language families. If you speak Sylvan, then Elvish is a sister language of it, which means that some languages are similar in lexicon, syntax, and alphabet. Therefore, if you are fluent in one of the languages below, any productive hour spent training in a sister language allows you to add 2 to your progress score rather than 1. So you'll train twice as fast in Elvish because you know Sylvan. So, going back up, tutelage cost. This guy's he's just kind of teaching you on as he's doing nothing else, just kind of keeping watch. So he's not really going to cost you. He's not going to charge you anything for it. Tutelage modifier. He's not a professional teacher, so he's not going to be the best modifier to your tutelage. He is an amateur teacher with divided attention rather than solo attention. He's not like going straight on you. He's got other duties he's doing while he's teaching you. So he's an amateur teacher with divided attention, meaning you're only going to get a plus 4 modifier from him, from his like teaching ability essentially. But that's better than self-taught with a book or untrained help, which would have only been a plus 2. So it's, speaking with someone who speaks Elvish is still better than learning it from a book. So amateur teacher with divided attention, you're going to get a plus 4 modifier. So progress score in each goal begins at 0. Will increase after each productive hour of training, as explained later. I have got noted somewhere what your training is currently towards Elvish, because you have started learning a couple of words here and there from people. Unfortunately, sometimes even with the best teacher that money can buy, you may simply not understand the subject, and the hour will not be productive. In order to make progress and have a productive hour of downtime training, you must succeed on a progress check with a DC of 12. The progress check is calculated as follows: a d20 plus the tutelage modifier plus twice your intelligence modifier. So the smarter you are, the more likely you are to have a productive hour of training. Thankfully, Apis is very book smart. You've got a plus 3 modifier. So twice that, you've got a plus 6, plus the 4 from the amateur teacher. You've got a plus 10 to any progress check that you're making, and you only need a DC 12. So as long as you don't roll a 1, you will progress. You will have a productive hour. How many hours are you going to ask this guy to teach you some Elvish? That's the question. For each hour that you spend on downtime training Elvish, you will progress 2 progress points. Being that you already speak Sylvan, instead of progressing 1, you'll progress 2. We do need to sleep, so just 1 hour. It is pretty late. It's probably like, I'd say at this stage, probably like 8 PM or so. And Apis tends to be an early riser, like up at the crack of dawn sort of a person. How long till morning? Single hour. It's like 7 or 8 PM, so maybe 2 hours. 2 hours. 2 hours would be good. 2 hours. 1 hour, 2 hours. Let's go 2 hours just for fun. All right, so you're going to spend 2 hours awake talking to this guy, same as you would if you were just like keeping watch, and then you can go to sleep after that. So let's make the progress check. You just need to not have a natural 1. You're going to do 2 hours, so I might as well use both of Apis's dice, the gemstone one and the sparkly gemstone one. Let's not get a nat 1 on either of these. We got a 19 and a 14. You're good. All right. If you get a nat 20 on them, you progress. You've had a particularly productive hour, and you get double the progress score. So that is progress towards Elvish. Once your progress score reaches the target score, as seen at the end of the chapter, you achieve your goal. At the GM's discretion, any goals offered, many of the goals can offer a partial goal increment, which is something that languages does. So if you go down to languages, it says there's a score for when you become basic with that language, like you know the basics of it. There's a score for when you become broken in that language, like when you can speak a broken conversation. And then there's a final score for when you become fluent in that language. So you're doing pretty good. That was a progress of 4 points towards it. There's a lot of language to know about Elvish, so you're still not anywhere close to having like basic understanding, but you know individual words. You're not even close to basic yet. No. Yeah, the best way to actually progress in something is to spend like proper downtime doing it, meaning like you take a day off, you hire a proper tutor, and you just learn. You spend all day learning, like 8 hours a day or whatever, 10 hours of the day, because then you can start to knock out some real progress. If you took like an entire week of downtime to just like studying with a tutor, then you could easily get to basic, maybe even broken, in like a week or something. That's training. Then you go to sleep. You have a long rest. And in the night, there's a couple of times that you'll kind of wake up just from the sounds of like armor walking nearby, and and that's when the guards are shifting between Trell and the others. Somebody new comes on. Trell goes off to take his rest, and kind of the general vicinity of strange people in a stranger environment seems to wake you from your light sleep, and then you go back to sleep again. We learn where's the bathroom. Do you speak Elvish? Shit. Waffles, sausage, bloody hell, get off the road, you muppet. Yeah, those are the most important things in any how to speak Elvish phrase book. You learn where is the bathroom, and I don't speak Elvish. When do we do that? Even when we have downtime with training. I mean, that's the point. Like, you have to want to do it. You have to put effort into saying, we really need to know this, so we're going to take time off to learn it. We just learn all of the swear words, yeah. Slight drizzle of rain, maybe. That's a good point. It is a new time of day. Let's roll again to see if the weather has changed. It's actually gotten slightly better, ever so slightly better. In the morning, as you wake with a full rest, all of your spells come back. Your horseshoe comes back. Lots of things come back, and you have a long rest. All of your hit points and everything are back up to max. And the day is still kind of overcast, but not quite as windy, let's say. Alright, so in the morning you wake up, you start to put your bedroll away. Mosh has woken before you because he started his long rest before you did, so he's awake and up and about, waiting for you to wake. As you wake up and you give a big old stretch. That is definitely not just an excuse for Robert to yawn and stretch. You You start putting your bedroll away. What is the plan for the day? What is your journey? You need to get the Gravedigger to come with, right? As he is an old man, he's probably got up about 4 times during the night to pee, so he's up and about anyway. He's an early riser, same as you. So crack of dawn comes, and he is probably already on his way up to the cave mouth when you wake. Thank the elves for their hospitality, follow the gravekeeper at a distance, and talk to Mosh. Alright. You do some. You do all of those things. You say, thank you for your hospitality, and Potal says, oh, it's quite alright. You were not in imposition at all, so it was like you weren't even here. About this time, there are footsteps toddling up the stairs towards you, and you can see the Gravedigger sort of making his way up. He's got his spade and trowel sort of hanging off of his bag, and he's got his shovel in hand as he walks. He doesn't seem to need to walk with a stick and cane or anything. He seems like he's pretty good on his feet. He walks up the stairs past the guards, sort of nods at them on his way out, and then at the cave mouth he turns and says, "So are you coming or what?" You say, "Yes, I believe I am." And you start heading out, following him and leaving with Mosh as well in tow. You unwrap some rations and start to eat your rations on the way. I don't count rations when you're not in a position where it makes sense to, because as an outlander, as long as you're in the forest, I assume you're like foraging as you go. You're both an outlander and a ranger, so finding rations in an abundant location such as a forest is never an issue. Random thought, we should get a perch for Mel on our pack or quiver so that we know no need to buzz when stealthy. That would help. A couple of times she's had to kind of like hang on to the back of you, so having a perch for her to actually grab a hold of could be useful in future. Mel buzzes along with you as well. Mel is a companion animal, so wherever you go, she goes. Alright, so the old man starts pottering down the mountain, and he sort of stops to let you catch up, and he goes, "So what's your plan? What do you need to see? Why were you asking me about the necromancers?" Once we're outside of that village, tell the old man I need to talk to my friend for a bit. Lead on, we'll follow close behind. You say that to him. I need to just chat to my friend for a moment. If you lead the way, we'll follow close behind. We'll catch up in a moment. I just need. And he says, "All right, that'll be it for me to get in the way of somebody's private conversation." And he turns and kind of just leads on, safe in his own company, to lead the way back to where he's going. You can tell that he's immediately setting off down the mountainside in a clockwise direction from an anti-clockwise direction from Winglofau, which the cave entrance is on the eastern side of the mountain. So this means he's heading in a northward direction. So as he gives you a bit of space, just you and Mosh, Mel and Mosh in ear of one another, you cast the exposition cantrip. You exposition dump on Mosh everything you've heard from Belladel and whatnot. You went to see him. He's alive. He's recovering, but he is unwell in bed. He's definitely inflicted with the curse, and he was very angry when I offered him help and things. He is just as sort of anti-us as he ever was. And Mosh says, "Right, I should go see him." And you're like, "Not sure you understood what I said." And he says, "No, I need to speak with him." And you're like, "No, I said he doesn't want help. He doesn't want people to speak with us. He doesn't want us interfering." He says, "Yeah, but he isn't going to go through that alone. Not when I've been through it. I can warn him of what to come, or I can tell him of how it helps. I managed to catch before those bastards grabbed hold of me. I managed to grab," and he pats his bag. Says, I managed to grab a few of those herbs that we were looking for. I can brew him something up that'll help him." He's not very friendly. I mean, you do you, Mosh, but he's not friendly. I suggest maybe the goblins might know more about how to cure this for both of them. So we also exposition dump to him about like how the hobgoblins have a werefox army. They have a unit, a battalion unit that are lycanthropes and similar. Yeah. I think I overheard you talking about it. I can't remember if Mush was there or not. So I'll just say he overheard you. They might know more about curing it or not. Yeah, maybe. I also have another idea. There's a fellow called the Merry Gentleman, and you cast the exposition dump about the Merry Gentleman. Yeah. Huh. So those dice said he can cure it, but not that he would cure it. It didn't say that he would cure it. I asked if he can cure it, and he can. But, I mean, if he can, then we can always persuade him to. Sounds like making a deal. Ain't you said like, you know, fairies and deal makers and tricksy and... Yeah, they can be. It seems like, you know, persuading him to do something for me will mean that I have to do something for him, right? It might be that way, yeah. We don't know until we ask. Angrily rejected the notion of joining the hobgoblins after how they treated him. That's right, I do remember that. It doesn't hurt to ask. Well, it might, but it'll be worth it. Yeah, we'll have to ask him, and you might want to help me do that. I think this is a better chance of working than you talking to Belladel, to be honest. You should think about it. Look, we don't have to make any deals with him. We don't have to take that option. It's just an option. Better to find as many options as possible for solving this thing. Yeah, I appreciate it. I don't want you to think I'm ungrateful. I appreciate you asking about it, and knowing that he can do it means it is something that I can consider. Maybe even for myself. Maybe for Belladel. You could try and deliver Mosh's herbs and tell them it's a healing tincture as a temporary measure, and then go find a cure for both of them. Could try. There's a good chance that Belladel would try and get you killed if you saw him. I think he's already got those herbs that he needs. The people of Dolben Iload have been onto it. They grow and cultivate a bunch of herbs themselves anyway, and they seem to know that it is a curse and know of the curse. They were foraging and cultivating and all sorts of things. I don't feel right just leaving him out there suffering when I did it. If he wants me dead, then he should have that right. Lord knows I wanted the bastard that did this to me dead. Like if I'd had the opportunity, if it had come to me. Mel just buzzes along. He would rather rid himself of the curse than accept it. So you going to him and helping him through it is all well and good, but it helps him to accept it or to survive the change. If we can instead just get it removed from him, and maybe from you as well, I think that's the preferable option. Yeah? Yeah. I agree with that. And the difference is, of course, you didn't want to pass it on, but the guy who gave you it did. That doesn't make a difference. The end result is the same. I'm a fucking monster now, and so is he. Or he will be if he even survives it. That's just that we pressure him to give us the cure, but is there any way to plead to a sense of natural preservation and to return the happiness of wellness to this poor person? It's possible. The person you're talking about is the Archfey, the Merry Gentleman, and he lives on the Feywild. So in order to do anything, whether you're pressuring him or pleading with him, you'll need to go to him. Thankfully, as a Horizon Walker Ranger, you have a way with portals and finding them, and you happen to know of portals to the Feywild, or the distance to them and such. Anyway. What good would it be for him to kill you? Do you think that would stop his cure and suffering? It'd certainly make him feel better, yeah. If he's anything like me. To know that the bastard who did this to him's dead and isn't going to do it to anymore. Because you got to remember as well, I haven't just created him. If he survives this and turns like I did, if he's outcast like I was, he turns another one just like I did. And the cycle continues. We keep spreading it among innocent people. It's up to you. It's just, these are just options. What do you want to do? I don't know. I want to help him. I want to be there for him. I want to let him know that I'm sorry. I want him to have the option of what to do. I didn't do this. I didn't ask to be this way. I had a life. I didn't. And he, you see his hand shifts into this auburn fur all across his hand, sprouts from his hand like a time lapse of hair growing. His fingers go long and clawed, and in an instant he just claws out at a tree that he's passing, and he puts 3 huge grooves through that tree. As he just kind of, his hand reverts to his own again. I didn't ask to be a fucking monster, and now I've hurt someone else, and I've cursed him to the same life that I'm leading, and I want to be there to help, to show him that I didn't mean it to happen. Look, this makes all the difference. Intention shows your true self, and you're not a bad guy, Mosh. You were handed a bad situation. We can try and sort it. Don't give up until there's nothing left to do. He might appreciate a cure. You put a hand on his shoulder and try to stay calm, Mosh. You know it's my intention to visit the Merry Gentleman soon, anyway, for other reasons. So it's no skin off my nose. It's no trouble to me. I'm visiting him anyway. I'm talking to him. So let's see about finding a cure for you both, eh? That'd help him more than you going there and letting him kill you. That way it helps you too. The irony is, even if he wanted to, he couldn't. And then all I'd be left with is more frustration. Knowing that he wants me dead, and neither of us can do anything to grant his wish. Belladel has the same sort of temper that you have. We've got a bit of time. You might not survive it. If we don't act quick, it might kill him. Let's all agree right now to never ever tell Mosh about Silver. Some rocks are defenseless. Don't beat up the defenseless trees. Rocks are better for that, and some trees aren't so defenseless. He laughs at you, making light of the situation. That tree had it coming. You didn't see the way it was looking at me. Thanks, Apis. You're a friend. I don't got many of those. Not for a while now. So thanks. I appreciate that you don't look at me differently. Since you knew what I was. It's tough to always be traveling. I don't know how you do it. Does silver as in the currency apply towards work-cursed folk? Silver as in the material does, and silver coins are made of silver. Partly. They're made of a silver alloy. The forest's my home, much as it is yours. Yeah. If I've got any home, it's the forest, I suppose. and you walk on in silence for a little while longer, following the Gravedigger. You start to catch up to him a little bit. Looks like you'll be coming on quite the journey with me. You'll find all about travelling soon enough. Notice we have a herbalism kit. Can we make a medicine check to see if we personally know of a herb reputed to help with lycanthropy? Yes, and yes. We have a herbalism book. We have a herbalism kit. We know a little bit about herbalism from being an outlander, and we do know we have done this in previous episodes. We have learned about 3 different vegetation that can help with lycanthropy. There is wolfsbane, there is monkshood, and there is another one that I always forget. Monkshood, wolfsbane, and belladonna. Belladonna, monkshood, and wolfsbane can all help in various different stages of the curse. Help to stay alive through it, help to ease your pain, help to make it easier for you to resist the draw to becoming a werefox and stuff, and all different things. We don't know the specifics of how they help, just that they help. And so we've already searched for those things and foraged for them, and sent Mosh to go and find some yesterday and whatnot. Oh, an overnight thing happened. So I need to. Oh wow, we might have actually. Where did I write it? It was in this book, wasn't it? Yeah, that's a fail. Okay, that's one more failure. So as you walk, sort of awkward silence for a little while. Could we make our own arrowheads from the silver coins, or is that strictly a blacksmith thing? That would definitely require a blacksmith. We don't have proficiency with smith tools, and we don't have a smithy. We would need a forge to melt the silver coins and things. It is theoretically possible to do so, but you would definitely need a blacksmith to do so, and maybe a fletcher as well. Eventually, though, you walk for about an hour or so to the north, and just as you're about to say, like, are we there yet? The Gravedigger sort of slows, and seems to be talking to something as you sort of catch up, mumbling almost to himself. And then he turns to you and says, No, they're not a threat. And he's just talking to sort of an empty space, talking out into the woods. The Gravedigger has asked us a question. Were we going to answer him? Did he ask you a question? Oh yeah, he did. When you first set off, he was like, "What's your interest in the necromancy?" In the time it took you to have your conversation with Mosh, the Gravedigger had forgotten his question. Is there a spirit with us? And he says he's not talking to you. It seems he's just kind of still talking. He says, "Where do you know if your body's still around? Do you know whereabouts?" And then you ask your question, and he turns and says, "Yeah," and just kind of very quickly, "Yeah," and then back. It's okay. And what was it? You know, what happened? Right. How many of them? Okay. Lead me. And then he sets off in a different direction to the way he was walking. Starts walking towards sort of more left of where he was walking before. Perception check. Can we notice the spirit at all? I will do you a perception check to see if you notice anything at all. 18's a very good perception. No, sorry, 16. 16. Looks like an 18 until I looked at the camera. 16 is a very good perception check, plus your perception modifier, which, because you are in a forest, you get forest bonus to. So you've got a +8 modifier to that. So that's a 24. With our 24 ability, we definitely don't see like a ghost standing there or anything. 24 is very good though. So what you do see is, what you notice, because perception is not only about sight, it's about all of your senses and how you're taking in information. You notice that the air is just a little cooler from the direction he's talking, and there's like a sort of a shiver down your spine kind of an area when you stepped up next to this guy. So there is like a very subtle sense of there being a spirit here, but you didn't see one or hear one. Nobody, you didn't hear the response from anything as he was talking. I'm so surprised no one said I see dead people yet. When I was creating, when I was not creating, it's the Gravedigger. In case you don't know already, if you haven't worked it out, is one of the redemptions. If you earn copper pieces while watching my channel, you can redeem them for various things. One of them is a thing called Wouldn't That Be Cool, where you get to create something for the world, and I will put it into the game. Wouldn't That Be Cool? One of the Wouldn't That Be Cool redeems was the Gravedigger, and so here he is in the story. Yes, when I was preparing the Gravedigger, I I did think of having him when you ask him about like what's the deal with your eye patch or whatever, it'd be like, I see dead people, they're everywhere. So he sets off in that direction, and I assume you're following as well. You say, should we be worried? And he says, I wouldn't say worried. I don't know. I don't know for sure. What I do know is that this man was killed. He was minding his own business in the forest, and some creatures got him. What sort of creatures? Demons, by the sounds of it. Did he give a description? Yeah. Little rat-like things. He said it sounded and moved like rats until they got close, and then he said that they shifted. You get about 100 meters more before he sort of stops and says, somewhere around here, you don't know exactly. Okay, I'll start looking, I guess. Just stay here, you're gonna be fine. And he turns to you guys and says, we're looking for a body. He's about regular-sized elven man. Probably won't be in one piece. He's going to be somewhere around here. If we can find even parts of him, it can help. Do we know how long ago it was? How long ago was this? Do you know how long you've been here? How long does it feel? He says it feels like it's only just happened. Unfortunately, time can work differently for the spirits, I've noticed. So it could be we're looking at anything from an hour to a week. No longer than a week, though. Usually that's when they start to feel like they've been there for some time. If this was Viren Rob, I swear to Jeebus. It's about an hour north of Mwynglorfau. Viren is from the hunting village about an hour and a half southeast of Mwynglorfau. So I swear it's not Viren. So we get an arrow out, we knock it into our bow, and then we start to hunt around the nearby forest, looking for body parts. Send Mel up to look, but tell us to stay close. Mel.
Yes, Apis.
Can you have a little look around, see if you can see body parts anywhere? Stay below the canopy, stay relatively close, but just see if you can see.
Yes, of course. I'm looking for body parts.
Yeah, just any signs of like recent death, or like somebody being torn apart or anything.
Okay.
She takes off. She looks for scavenger birds and vultures and things. Yeah. Also keep an eye out for any scavenger birds.
Okay.
She's not exactly sure what a scavenger bird is because she's not smart. She doesn't necessarily know them by name. So we are going to search. This is not going to be a perception check because this is specifically looking for individual things, not rather than just like looking at the area. So this is going to be an investigation check rather than a perception check. You are still looking in a forest, so I will still allow forest bonus. It makes sense. So that is a +3 from your proficiency bonus. No, yeah, +3 from your proficiency bonus, +3 from your intelligence. You're not proficient in investigation usually, so you're not getting any other proficiency bonus. So it's going to be a +6 to the score. Let's roll an investigation check. Boom. 7. 7 + 6 is a 13. 13 is above average. As you are searching for them, Kelso says protection from good and evil. Do you guys want to cast a spell on yourself? Protection from good and evil, yes or no? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Do you want to cast a spell? As we're looking, can you ask the spirit what its name is? Do you have a name? Do you have a name, friend? He's a little confused. Doesn't remember his name. It's normal for someone of this recent deceased. I'd say that looks like we're looking at something happening in the last day. Ooh, right down in the middle on this, on using protection from good and evil here. Use protection from good and evil, ? Yes or no? With 55% of you saying yes, you are going to cast that spell. It takes 1 action to cast. As you're searching, you're looking for body parts and you're thinking, oh boy, there's a chance that we're going to come up against some kind of undead sort of a things here. So quickly you kind of like take the bow, you uncock the bow with your arrow, place the arrow back in your quiver. You take a moment to take out some of your powdered metal that you have here. If you look in your inventory, down in that direction, you can see that we have some powdered metal. That is the material component of casting this spell. And we have 8 uses of it. Now we have 7 uses of it left. As we take some of that powdered silver and iron in our hands and we start to place it on areas of the body that are like chakra points and things, like vital organ points, we are saying the incantation that we were taught from Talila, and we cast protection from good and evil on ourselves. We spend one of the spell slots and cast protection from good and evil on ourselves. It is a concentration spell, so it will work as long as we are concentrating on it. We take out our bow and arrow again and start to walk forwards, looking for other things to find, any body parts and whatnot. Mel very quickly is over here. You can hear a shout from maybe like 90 feet away or so. Over here. And you start moving in her direction. And being that she's speaking in Sylvan and you don't necessarily, your friends don't necessarily hear it, you say, Mel says it's over here. You start pushing your way that way. And very quickly you see blood. You see dried blood that seems like it's less than like 6 hours old, and you can see body parts. They are definitely in sections. There's like the remnants of, and this is a gore warning in case anybody's particularly squeamish. I'm going to be describing some graphic things. You see a hand that is missing 2 fingers and most of the bones of the inside of the hand. There is flesh and blood from the inside still sticking out, and the hand has been severed by tearing and sort of there's a word for that sort of damage, stretch damage. It's been pulled off of the hand rather than like cut off of the hand. Not too far from there is blood. Quite a lot of it, and not too much further. There's just like unidentifiable kind of flesh that is kind of dotted around. It looks like a beast, like a wolf or a bear or a dog that's like particularly ravenous, has kind of like thrown their head back and forth, and small parts of kind of just like matter has been sprayed over the nearby leaves and plants and trees and stuff. you also hear the sounds of something rustling in the trees nearby, and as you kind of look that way with your arrow cocked, you see a large rat-like creature. I say rat-like because it looks like a rat about the size of a guinea pig, except for the fact that its eyes are different sizes, and as soon as it sees you, its eyes are different sizes, and its hair, the sort of shackles start going up on end, and then its back bursts open. You see its shoulder blades kind of erupt, blood and gore erupt from the back of this rat as two large wings sprout from it. And its legs shrink down into different sized claws and paws and different body parts of different creatures stitched together until it takes about the size of a cat. And a quasit, which is the creature that Whatsit is, a quasit demon appears and then launches itself at you, and I will have you roll initiative. Let's head over to this battle map page, where you can see, beautifully prepared by me earlier, Blue Peter style. Here's one I created earlier. There is a battle map going on. This is you, Apis. You can see this creature here has just jumped at you. It is way too big, so I'm going to set him size smaller. There we go, that's more like it. I definitely prepared that earlier. So we will head over to, you can see the dice cam there, so let's roll you initiative here. This one is for you. You have a 14 on the dice. 14 plus 3 from your dexterity takes you to a 17 17 initiative. Mel has these beautiful B dice. She's going to roll her initiative. She gets a, what's that, a 16? 16 plus 4 for her dexterity. That's a dirty 20. So Mel is going to be going ahead of you in the initiative order. Then I will roll for Mosh. I will roll these beautiful dice that were handmade for me by the wonderful people over at Careful Cantrip. Thank you for that. These beautiful dice I picked up just the other day from my PO box. That is a 16 as well. Damn, you and your allies rolling well on initiative. What is Mosh's dexterity? I'm just going to go from memory because I can't be bothered looking it up, but it was at least a 2, I want to say, so he's going to be ahead of you as well. What did you get? You got a 14 plus 3, didn't you? So you got a 17. He got a, so Mosh will be ahead of you. Yeah, allies will be before you, just before you, and then the enemies I will roll off screen secretly. Oh wow, everybody rolled super well on this. Now the quasit information I do have. For those who don't know, quasits are a type of demon. They are the ones that Bob has for his familiar in the Epic NPC Man universe. Whatsit is a type of demon. So I thought it would be fun to show you what they can do when they're left to their own devices. If Bob was to ever use him to his full potential in a battle, this is the sort of thing you are looking at. Alright, so Mel got a dirty 20, didn't she? Unfortunately, the quasit rolled an 18 and has a plus 3, taking them to a dirty 21. As the enemy goes ahead of you, the quasits jump out, and that's right, I said quasits plural. As this one leaps at you, you can hear the sounds of other rustling through the bushes around you, and looking to the as the camera pans around, you can see that there is another quasit jumps out of the bushes nearby, and another one coming in from behind. If you can see that over there, it's hard to grab the right camera angle here. There is not a wolf here. He was a product of another fight on this same map. So you can see 3 of them jumping out at you from various bushes. You can see 3 of them jumping out at you from various bushes from your standpoint, but this one in front of you is leaping towards you and is the biggest deal. It is going to get to go first, but before we go, I am going to open up Nightbot. And if you haven't been to one of my D&D interactive Twitch tales before, how this works for combat when there is multiple things happening and we don't have time to make polls every time, I put it down to a single person to decide what happens on the next turn of combat. So, if you want to be in with a chance to decide what to do, please only enter if you have a feeling like you know what you're going to do on combat or you have any idea what's going on, because it really slows down combat to have to answer a bunch of questions every time, like, where are we, what's going on, what do I do, how do I do that? So if you have a feeling like you know what you're going to do, then type in keyword !demon in the chat. DEMON, !demon in the chat will enter you into the draw to decide what you're going to do on your first round of combat. You are currently concentrating on protection from good and evil. Very good time to use that spell, by the way. I'm very glad for you that you decided to use it when you did, because oh boy, has that made this fight a lot easier for you if you can keep concentrating on it. But for now, it is the enemy's turn. The Quasit is going to leap the distance towards you, and yes, he sees your giant bee flying overhead, but he is going to fly at you instead. I'm going to put him as flying. Whatsit does not have a fly speed, in case you ever get on me about, well, why doesn't he just fly up the tree? Because Whatsit can't fly, but these ones can, because I want them to, and I'm the GM, so deal with it. So as this one flies at you, there we go. He's going to make an attack at you. Let's have a look at his attacks. He is going to use... he is going to use his frightening ability. He's going to use a once per day scare attack. As he jumps at you, his mouth opens predator style. His jaw splits down, not even down the center, like slightly off to the side, with one section kind of opening up and the other section retracting like a muscle. They don't even open. They don't even open in the same way. His teeth are jagged but also lopsided. You can see flesh sticking into them. There's small parts of bones, like finger bones and things, just in his teeth. You can see that his tongue seems to be like threefold and jagged. The papilla on the tongue seem rougher than that of a cat. It comes out and slathers to the side. As his eyes go wide and large, you can see one of them kind of sparks with electricity. He's a very frightening appearance to be leaping at your face. He's going to try and scare you. You need to make a wisdom saving throw. So your wisdom is a +2, and you are not proficient in saves, so you'll get a +2 only. And that's a nat 1. You have a nat 1 on your wisdom saving throw against being frightened. So, do you... let me double check actually. Yes, maybe the spell gives you advantage against frightened. The target cannot be charmed, frightened, or possessed by aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. This is a fiend. You are immune to being frightened by fiends whilever you are concentrating on the protection from evil and good spell. So as much as he tries, there is something like inherently within you. Your brain is naturally very frightened of it with a nat 1. But the magic of the spell that you cast over yourself, the sprinklings of the iron and silver powder that you'd placed around your forehead as you cast the spell, seems to flare up for a moment, warm your brain, warm your head, protect you, like feeling like a nice warm bubble around you. And as your instinct is to be frightened of this thing, your head starts to kick into sort of a mind over matter situation of, this is not a situation that's any worse than I've dealt with. I've killed a green dragon before. I can deal with this tiny imp. Your lungs are starting to overreact and bring in oxygen. Your adrenal glands are kicking in to put adrenaline into your system in the frightened kind of a way. But the silver powder that you'd placed over your body in the sort of chakra points and the whatever you want to call it, the pressure points of your body, they all kick in as well. It stops your heart from beating too fast and going into an hyperrhythmia, is it? Tachycardia, is that what it's called? it stops your heart from overbeating. It stops your lungs from bringing in too much energy, too much air. It stops the adrenaline from kicking in too much, and your body is slowed to a point of alert and aware, but not frightened. You are immune to the fright attack of that quasit. Congratulations. You just snicker a little bit as we draw our bow. Yeah. This one is going to fly towards you. That is 2 meters away, so he can easily make it with his speed. Again, I'm going to make him flying. So while this guy jumps at your head from behind, this guy jumps up and over the top to come down on your head from above. Apis does not know enough about demons to know what this demon is. Just like, this is a fucking terrifying demonic creature that is coming to attack my face. So I'm just going to deal with it. So, as the second one flies at you, he's going to make an attack. Seeing that you are not frightened, this one is going to make a claw attack. And it's going to be an 18 to hit, so that will hit you. He is going to deal you, thankfully for you, minimum damage, which is 4 points of piercing damage. You take 4 points of piercing damage, and you must succeed on a DC 10 Constitution saving throw. That is an 8 plus, I think you have a +2 con mod. Let's go back to the main page. Yes, you have a +2 con mod, taking you to an exactly DC 10. He has disadvantage because of your planar thingamabob, that's right, and because of Displacer Cloak. Well remembered, on 2 counts. So, he's going to roll again. Ooh, that takes it to a miss, I believe. 11, yes, 11 will miss, thankfully, because of your Displacer Cloak and because of your planar, whatever that's called, the Protection from Good and Evil spell. He tries to strike at you. You can see this kind of aura around you flare up in his direction and kind of blinds him for a second as he strikes out his claws. He has disadvantage and misses you. That is his action to do so. He does not have multi-attack, so it is now the other quasits' turns. You see your other quasit back here. He is also too big. Whoops. He is going to go for your friend Mosh. Launches himself at your friend Mosh out of the bushes over here. And this one is going to... let's see. Who's closest? I mean, hell, they're chaotic. They're ruled by the concept of chaos. So I'm just going to roll randomly. Hey, Rat, you can go away. You're not part of this fight. Ruled by chaos. Can he get to Mel? 7 meters. He can't quite get to Mel. So it's basically just going to be, can he get to the old man? No, he can't. So it's going to be you or Mosh. Odds or evens. It is odds. He's going for Mosh. Yes! He races across there to attack Mosh. Both of them launch in with your with their attacks. One of them is going to do a scare attack. Again, its face grotesquely opens up. All 4 of these have very different body structures and sizes and shapes and colours. They're all chaos, chaos incarnate. They are, in the vaguest of terms, kind of the same size and shape. But all of the varieties of them very different. So all of these guys are similar to, but very different to what's it, for example. Mosh is going to make a wisdom saving throw, which he succeeds. So he sees them come in, but he's dealt with difficult things before. You can see him kind of like he's getting ready. You can see the hair starting to come out on his hands. It's going to take him an action to fully transform, though, if he's going to do that. Then the other one is going to make an attack at Mosh. 3 misses anyway, even without the disadvantage. So these quasits, I introduced them to be like, look what they can do when they're used to their full advantage, and not one of them have done a thing yet. Alright, so that is the end of the enemy's turn. It is now Mel's turn. She's just, let me put myself with Mel, she has just flown over and said, there's Viscera over here, and then just as you arrive, some quasits come out and attack. She's instantly in oh god what to do mode. She's going to do her usual thing of summoning a swarm. She's going to summon a swarm of insects. Intelligence check for Mel. She's not smart enough to keep you out of it, so she summons one swarm of insects over each of these closets, both of which will overlap with your space. So she summons 2 swarms of interest. Her wings start to bat extra quickly. She starts to do a little bee wiggle dance. She takes control of the minds of insects in the area, as you see crawling out from underneath leaves and underneath rocks and burrowing up from the soil. Everything that can crawl and sting and bite and fly. 2 swarms of insects fly around you and the closets around you. You are completely encased within clouds of insects yourself now, which is severely hampering your ability to see. But the insects are under her command, so they won't attack you. They're just causing it to be difficult to fight in. That is Mel's action. Her movement is to... she is going to fly down to try and sting one of them when on her next turn. That is Mel's turn. It is now your ally Mosh's turn. Mosh is going to use his action. As I said, you can kind of see the fur. Well, you could see the fur coming down his hands as soon as one of them approaches. He uses his action to go hybridized version of himself. Yes, the Gravedigger is going to find out what he is, but at this stage he'd rather that than be torn apart by whatever the hell these things are. He turns himself into his hybridized version of his werefox form. He gets the fox claws out. His face, his beard grows long and ginger with tints of white through it. His mouth grows long and muzzle-like. His teeth grow long and sharp. His eyes recede back and become canine, and his ears grow pointed and migrate to the top of his head. He is still humanoid, but an anthropomorphic fox now. That is his action to do so. I don't think he's got any bonus actions. He's going to stay where he is, movement-wise. Milzy, it is now your turn. What are we doing? Action, bonus action, movement. Whip out our dagger with our planar warrior attack on the one in front of us. Second attack on the other one. If they both die, use our movement to get up in the face of ones by Mosh, otherwise stay where we are. Brilliant, Milzy. Perfect example of what to do on your turn. You had it all typed out and ready. You've accounted for bonus action, and movement. So drawing a weapon is part of an attack action, but you do already have your bow out. So in order to draw the dagger, you have to drop the bow. So you drop the bow and arrow in the space where you are. Draw out the dagger. You've currently used nothing but a free object interact. Your first is to do a bonus action to planar warrior. You feel the tingles that come from the force energy of making up the weave, the arcane magic that makes everything in the world. The rawest form of that magic is called force, and you can feel that force as part of being a planar warrior. You use the force against this quasit in front of you. You feel the tingles run down your arm into your blade. Excuse me. Run down your arm into your blade. As you strike forward, the blade of the dagger disappears into the ethereal plane. Parts of your hand do as well. As you strike out towards this quasit, let's see if you hit. So it's an attack roll with your dagger. Where's your dagger? It's somewhere down here. Manticore dagger, +5 to hit. Oh, +3. We've got 3 + 5 is going to be an 8 to hit. Do you want to leave it as an 8, or do you want to use your inspiration or lucky horseshoe to re-roll it? Put a thumbs up or thumbs down in the chat if you want to use your inspiration or lucky horseshoe to re-roll. He also says yes, use it to re-roll. Milzy says yes. Alright, we will re-roll it. We're going to use our inspiration, because lucky horseshoe is more powerful and can be used for other things as well. Bling! Inspiration has gone, but we are going to get a re-roll with that, and it's going to bounce out of the tray, so I'll use the other dice. That's a d12. There it is. 3 again. Okay, apparently the gods want you to miss this attack. So that is a 3 on one, a 3 on the other. Womp womp. It's a good idea, but unfortunately this Quasit is too lithe and nimble. As it streaked towards you, its face opening up. It saw your dagger coming in, unfazed by the scaring tactics that it's employing. So it tucks its wings in and just drops to the ground, down by your leg and knees. It grabs a hold of your leg as it falls, and you feel like a cat scratching down your leg. That is one miss on the attack. Milzy, do you want to still attack the same one, or do you want to now switch like you wanted to? We've got 2 attacks per attack action now that we're level 5. Well, level 6 now, but same one. Alright, so you strike down this time with your second attack, going for the same one attached to your leg now with its cat-like claws out. 9 is better. 9 plus 5 is a 14. Do you want to leave it as a 14 and hope that hits, or do you want to use your last reroll with your inspiration to reroll it? We've got a 14 on the attack roll. Before I say whether or not that hits, do you want to use your inspiration? Leave it? Alright. We will leave it as a 14. Will a 14 hit? Let me check the thing. I'm pretty sure it will. 14 hits. With a 14 to hit, you do a d4 plus 4 damage. And Planar Warrior is still active, I believe. Let me just double check that. Because I think it's... Yeah, it's Planar Warrior is the next attack that hits, doesn't it? I'm going to say it's the next attack that hits and look it up later. Some things are like it's on the next attack, and some things are on the next attack that hits. So I think Planar Warrior is the latter. So you're still going to get it added to this roll. So a d4 from the dagger, and a what is it? A d8 for Planar Warrior. That's 3 and a 2 is 5 plus 4 makes it a 9 points of damage to the Quasit. You strike down at the one on your leg and it stabs it right through the back of the neck, right above the nape. And as your Manticore dagger pierces into the skin of this thing, it tears like a rotten fruit. It just kind of pops. And instantly his body goes limp like that of a ragdoll, and his body slaps against the lower leg of your trousers and slides down into the mud. And as he slides, the parts that are touching you kind of like stretch out as his body kind of goo like a big hock of spit against a wall. It stretches out and elongates and until by the time he hits the ground, he's just turned into this black ichor. You can feel the burning on your pant leg. That's more work that you're going to need to do to fix that later. But he is acidified and turned into ooze as he falls. Gross. Point the dagger at the second one to back off. You stab out. You whip out the last one and say back off. He doesn't seem to care. That one is dead. Well done, Milzy. We killed one of them. Technically, I should have given you disadvantage on that because of the insects flying around, but it's fine. I'll ignore that because of cool. That was your bonus action, free action, attack action. Then your movement was only if both of them are dead. They are not both dead, so you're going to stay where you are. Wonderful turn, Milzy. We're going to go to the top of the round with the enemies. This one in front of you is going to try and strike out at you again. It is not. It is no stranger to death or being destroyed. All it knows is death and destruction and wanting to tear you apart. So it has no qualms about continuing, even in the face of its companion dying. It is going to take a claw attack at you, and this time I'm not going to forget that it has disadvantage, both because you have Displacer Cloak on and because you have the what the hell is the name of the spell? I can never remember it. Protection from Good and Evil. It's like a straightforward says what it does on the tin. I got an 18 and a 19 on my disadvantage. Do I be nice and say that he has double disadvantage? I don't normally stack double disadvantage. Yeah, all right. I'll be nice. He's got double disadvantage because of your spell and your thingy-mabob. 16. So 18, 19, and 16 on double disadvantage. So the dice gods want him to hit, and that's before his modifier too. So he is going to hit you, and he's going to do a d4 with his claws. Maxed it out this time, so that is 7 points of piercing damage, and I need a Constitution saving throw from you. 15 is enough, so you do not take the poison from his claws. As he rips out his claws, you can see that his two of his claws seem to, like viper fangs, whip out from the inside of his palm and then drip in venom as he strikes in. He hits you, but thankfully the scratching damage does mostly damage to the surface skin and the leatherwork of your armor, rather than actually injecting that venom into you. So you managed to not take any of the poison damage, but you still took quite a lot of scratch damage. You did just take damage, so I need you to repeat the Constitution saving throw to retain your concentration on your spell. That's going to be a 5. 5 plus your con is 2. You need to get 10 or half the damage you took, whichever is higher. So the DC is 10 to concentrate on your spell. You are currently getting a 7. Is it important to you that you keep concentrating on this protection from good and evil? In which case you need to use the horseshoe to re-roll that. What do you think? You do not get horseshoe. You do not get forest bonus, right? God damn it. Are we re-rolling with horseshoe to maintain concentration on our spell? Otherwise, we will drop it. All right, looks like most people are saying yes. We're going to use the horseshoe. So, re-rolling with horseshoe. Which one's the horseshoe? There it is. Re-rolling and hoping for the best. 17 is better. Yes, we managed to concentrate. Thanks to the luck of our lucky horseshoe. As the claws strike down at our skin, we wince through the pain. Jeez, it's like needles and razors. And I do mean needles and razors. Like some of the ones that weren't viper hands, like 2 of the fingers were viper teeth. The other 2 were like razor blades, like long sharp claws, like no beast you've ever seen. On the other hand, there were like suckers on some of the hands, and other ones had like long needle-like claws, and then one of them had like a lion's claw. It just reached out to you with all manner of chaos. But you concentrate on the spell, and you feel the parts of the spell still active over your body. Where are we at? The other 2 enemies now. The other 2 enemies are going to attack Mosh. One of them is going to attack with a... That's probably not going to hit Mosh's armor. What would they... No, that wouldn't hit Mosh's armor. And the second one is going to... Nat 20. The next one is going to crit Mosh. So, what do they do on a crit? They do a d4 plus 3, so 7 total, plus another d4, 7 plus another 4. So 11 points of slashing damage to Mosh. They are, for the purposes of slashing through him, their claws are they considered magical? It doesn't say so in their stat block, but I think it's odd that a demon's claws wouldn't be considered magical. I'm going to rule that these ones can overcome his immunity to whatchamacallits from being a werewolf. So he's going to take 11 points of slashing damage. He's a tough guy. He can definitely take 11 damage. But then he has to succeed on the con save or take extra damage. And he's going to want to succeed on this, given that it was a crit. And he fails. 9 plus his honor, 9 plus his con mod. He's got a +1 con mod, hasn't he? At least. I'm going to have to look his stats up to be double sure. No, I don't. I know he's got at least a +1 con mod, because that's kind of what he does. He's a hardy boy. And it's only DC 10, so he succeeds. Just. Taking no more poison damage. They're clawing and scratching at Mosh, and that is the enemy's turn. It is now Mel's turn. Mel and the militia. I should have had the militia go last time. I apologise. I forgot that the militia have a turn. The militia are going to get to go now, and then Mel's turn, and then the militia again, just to give them 2 turns in one. So the militia are going to bite with their insecty mouths. Their insecty mouths are definitely non-magical attacks, and so they have resistance to that as a quasit. So the... What is there? Yeah, there we go. We're going to go 7 plus their modifier is not going to be enough to hit, unfortunately. So they're biting and scratching and eating at this insect, this quasit. It doesn't seem to care. Like they're burrowing inside of his like loose skin and folds of scales. Some parts of his skin are like fish scales, and some parts are like have got like the basics of feathers, like downy feathers of like a baby duck or something. Other parts of his skin are like scarred and taut, like skin that's about to pop from like stretch marks and things. He's a very disgusting creature, but even as the insects are burrowing and biting into it, he doesn't seem to care. Doesn't seem to bother him. Okay, then we will... That was the Quasit's turn. No, that was the Militia's turn. Then it is Mel's turn. Mel has used the Militia. She knows better than to. Than to use the sleep spell. Well, unless you tell her to, because you've specifically told her in the past, like, hey, don't use the sleep until I tell you to, please. So she's going to use her action to try and sting this thing instead. She flies over to it and she brings out her butt and she tries to reach forwards with her stinger. Go, Mel! You can do it! 14 plus stuff will hit! Alright, 14 plus stuff. She has a non-magical stinger though, so you'll take half damage from it. It should still be quite a lot of damage though. Where is Mel's stats? Yeah, okay. That is enough to kill him with the stinger, but then he halves it, so it's not enough to kill him. He's wounded, but then he has to make a con save. Actually, I think he's immune to poison. He's immune to poison, yes he is. So this one is looking wounded as Mel's stinger strikes through. Doesn't seem to hurt him as much as you would have expected if it was your dagger, for instance. Go, Mel, you can do it. That is Mel's whole turn. Your ally's turn, Mosh. Mosh is now going to take attacks with his claws. Damn it. He's going to miss the first one. He's got multi-attack though, so the second one is definitely a hit. His claws are considered magical because of him being a werewolf. And so he is going to slash them for... Ooh, boy, this is... Unless I roll ones on these, I'm pretty sure he's dead. Yep, no, he's dead. Mosh kills one, misses one of them, and then follows it in with his more dominant hand, strikes down one of them, and splits his face open. And as it does so, you can't see because you're in a swarm, but the body hits the ground and oozes into this black ichor that starts to immediately seep into the ground, immediately tainting this land and probably preventing anything from growing on that particular forest floor forevermore. Then it is Apis' turn. Sparrow Flyaway, how you doing? Did both swarms get to attack? They did not. The swarms will get to attack again. The other swarm can't attack in the space of the other one because they'll just be a swarm of insects. It doesn't matter if it's twice a swarm or not a swarm, but they will be there in case this swarm... So basically the first swarm gets to do nothing. The second swarm is encompassing this guy's face. But I did say that I needed to do another swarm at the end of his turn. Which is a 4. Oh boy. So that is a miss again. You know what? Because the swarm has missed twice, let's go. Let's give the other swarm. They just back out. They're just like, all right, we're over here. So the second swarm moves away so that the first swarm can get in and make their attacks. And they're going to make one attack at a 13 and another attack at a 5. So 5 will miss. So 3 out of the 4 swarm attacks will miss. One of them will hit though. And the swarms at this full strength level that they are can do some amount of damage. Oh my god, I got 2 1s on the d4s. Alright, so the swarms... Only a quarter of the swarm attacks hit. And then when they do hit, I do minimum damage for them. And then that minimum damage is halved because the Quasit is resistant to non-magical damage. But with Mel's Stinger attack, I think that might just be enough to kill it. So let me work it out. 2, halved, rounded up, 3. 3 on top of what Mel just did takes him to... Yeah, just it's literally... It took 4 swarms of insects, 4 swarms of insects and a giant bee to finally kill this guy, but he does die. As that one is bitten to death by swarms, the insects start to crawl into his eyes and into his mouth, his orifice. His slathering tongue starts to try and lick them off of his face. He's very much distracted from you for a moment. He disengages and drops to the ground, and he's kind of swarming around. But you can see pustules, all of the parts that the insects have burrowed into. You can see black ooze and acid burning away. Bunch of the insects are dying in the effect, but there's 2 swarms of them. Eventually, there's just more of him that is bites and scratches and black ichor than there is actually body left, and so his arm just like falls limp, and then immediately starts to discorporate. The rest of his body soon follows. His head hits the ground last and turns into acid. And then the swarms start to move away from you, opening up your vision once more. Alright. What are we doing? Sparrow, one of these guys is dead. Your 2 are dead. You. Die. Thank you. See the cinematography moment. The camera pans from you over to Mosh, who strikes one of them dead. Sparrow says, swap the dagger for the bow, planar faria on the nearest one. Alright, so you place your dagger away, pick up your bow, bonus action, planar warrior. Take very careful aim because they are in the space of Mosh. They are basically sharing the same space, so if you miss this attack, even without a nat 1, if you miss this attack, I will roll to see if you hit Mosh. Are you cool with that, Sparrow? Because they are the quasits are so small that they are sharing a space. Like missing him, like if you miss him by 1, you're not gonna hit Mosh. But if you miss him, and then I roll basically by how much you miss his armor class by will determine what the chances are of hitting Mosh. Are you okay with that? We have a +8 to hit, so we're pretty safe. We know that a 14 hits them, so with a +8 we should be able to hit. Our arrows aren't silvered, so we should be okay. Well remembered, Sparrow. So we turn around. We draw our bow. We take aim, knowing that even if we miss the creature and hit our friend Mosh, he shouldn't be injured because he's a werfox. We loose, feeling that energy enter our body as the arrow shaft moves through the space just in front of the bow. It seems to cut into the ethereal plane. You this time I'm going to say you actually notice that it's not only using the force energy of the ethereal plane. You notice that in front of the arrow, something you've never really noticed before, sort of like a tiny, like a spark of light, kind of like a twinkling star. You just see it just right in front of the arrow tip, right before you loose. You don't think too much of it, but the arrowhead hits directly through the center of that tiny spark, and that is when it starts to turn ethereal. There's just a very fleeting moment of noticing something a little different about the way you cast this, or use this ability. It's not casting because it's not a spell. The arrow streaks forwards towards the quasit with a +8 to hit. I think you should be okay. Especially with a 10. 10 plus 8 is 18, which is enough to hit, and definitely with Planar Warrior and your longbow attack, it should be plenty of damage. Let's go with the D8 roll anyway, just to see how much you overkill him by. It's going to be 2d8 plus 3. That is an 8 and a 2, so 10 plus 3 is 13 damage. You almost fully overkill him by double the amount he had, and that quasit is eliminated. As you strike him from your friend's form, Mosh missed that one and struck down with the other one, which means that the other one is like here and it's going towards his ear. You can see this quasit leaning back, going towards Mosh's werfox ears. It's going to try and bite hold and tear him apart, but you manage to right through the side of this quasit's head, which blasts him from Mosh's shoulder. He turns around as he hears the whiz past his ear. He looks back your way and says, "Good shot." But he says it in his werfox form. Good shot. The quasit is discorporated into acidic gunk along side of the rock before it even hits the ground. As the arrow becomes acid tipped, the arrow has disappeared. The arrow has gone. The acid has burned the arrow into non-existence. Thankfully, though, you have a quiver of infinite ? Arrows. All right, well done. We are going to head back away from the battle page to the main page then, as we wrap up today's session. You have managed to successfully defeat the quasits that have come for you. Well done. We're out of initiative order for a moment, as this has only taken 2 rounds. It's 12 seconds of fighting, so the Gravedigger has just kind of had no time to do anything other than just sort of stand there. You look over to him and you can see that he is in like a readied fighting stance, and he's got his shovel out. And he's kind of like ready to defend himself with a shovel if he needs to, but he's kind of kept himself on the outskirts of the fight. And then as you very quickly make short work of these creatures, he looks from one of you to the other. His eyes sort of go up and down on Mosh in his werfox form. As Mosh recedes back into his human form, you see his muzzle shrinks back down to his own. His beard shrinks back down to something a little more like mine. He sort of nods to the Gravedigger, and the Gravedigger nods back. And then he says, "So that's what you meant by demons, huh? Well, we know what happened to this poor bastard. Let's get him a place to rest." And he just sticks the shovel right down into the ground where he is, and that is where we're going to leave it for today, with the Gravedigger digging a grave for this poor elf who was torn apart by quasits, and hopefully putting his body to rest. Thank you very much for joining me today. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Oh, damn, is it over already? Well, my Patreons get an exclusive first look at all my new videos, so maybe the next one's live over there already. Go check it out.